there's some talk recently, once again, people in California are seeking to have a vote to whether or not to leave California. There's actually people in California that think it's a good idea to leave the rest of the United States. Now, that's not going to happen for a number of reasons. Obviously, the big reason is that the uh, the people that are in charge, and largely are in charge of the left wing, know that if they separate California from the rest of the United States, number one, they're not going to win a presidential election. Number two, they permanently lost the House of Representatives because a lot of Democrat House representatives come from California. Um, and also, California wouldn't be able to sustain itself economically. California is a big economy because it's attached to the United States. So, can you imagine a California that has to make its own trade deals, that can't trade freely with the rest of the United States? It's not going to happen. A lot of the business owners that are in California would probably leave. Whoever's even left in California would probably leave because in order to be your own country, you have to have your own military. I understand that California does have its own National Guard, but there are a lot of other, um, like in business, you call it like a startup cost, I guess you could say overhead that a country would have to do. That means that they would have to raise taxes even further. Not to mention all the other political problems that they have. I mean, California, I think, gets a lot of federal money as well. So it's just not going to happen. It reminds me of a clip that I've seen recently saying that San Francisco really shot itself in both feet because of their political views. They decided not to do business basically with red states, saying that their politics are not in line with the values of these other states, and as a result, because they weren't able to source the things that they would need for their public projects, the costs have gone up a lot, and it's really put an even bigger strain on San Francisco's budget. I guess if they really wanted to go even further and actually be consistent, they would say that they shouldn't get government money because a lot of that money that the government gets comes from red states. So that would further shut down their economy even further. It's not going to happen. California is not going to leave the country. If say Trump gets elected, and let's say the Republicans win the House and Senate, and let's just say that it's a MAGA revolution that gets pushed through, although I don't think that's going to happen because you're still going to have a lot of neoconservatives embedded in there that you're not going to be able to really push a lot of things through. There's going to be a lot of opposition within the Republican Party. But let's just pretend that this happens. Let's say that they start to prosecute the criminals in D.C. and elsewhere throughout the country. Let's say they really actually enforce law and order in the country, and let's say they secure the border and everything else. And the people in California, the liberals in California are very angry about this. The people in San Francisco says we're going to secede from the union because God forbid, they implement those policies. It's like I said, it's not going to happen. I mean, even the more intelligent liberals know. I mean, the more realistic thinking ones know that they won't be able to sustain an economy. They wouldn't be able to function without being attached to the rest of the United States. Even people in big cities, there's a trend in the last couple of elections where they have actually trended a little bit more towards the right, because even people in cities know that they're being screwed over by these policies, by the rising crime and everything else. So, it's entertaining. And like I said, the entertaining part is it's not going to happen. And like I said, if they do happen, that's the end of their economy. I mean, everything would just, you'd have massive capital flight out of those areas. And it would be nothing. It would be enclaves of ghetto, basically. So, like I said, it's not going to happen. It's a ridiculous idea. It's based on this utopian idea um, that somehow these Marxist ideas actually work, and that the problems that they're suffering in those places aren't coming from their policies. I mean, just totally disconnected from reality.